What's up? Thanks for having me.
Hey man, you are most certainly welcome. 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, you already know what time it is, and right here, right now, we actually have one of my favorite MCs to ever grace the genre and culture of hip hop. We got the one and only Mike Geronimo right here, live on the line, man. How are you doing this evening?
I'm good, bro. How are you?
I gotta say, best I could possibly be down here in Canada, just dealing with those mandates and all that fun stuff, man. How's everything out there on your end, man? Hope
Yeah. I mean, it's cool. You know, we all going through something as a whole, but I'm all right, thank God. I'm good. My family good, so I can't really complain, bro. I hope it gets better out there for y'all, though. You feel me?
Oh, I definitely hear you on that, man. I appreciate that. We got a bunch of protests going on right now. It's definitely a fun time to be a Canadian. Let's just put it at that.
I mean, if it's any consolation to you, yeah, we felt the pain literally because the truck has stopped everything up. So, you know, like I said, I hope the whole situation works itself out.
Well, Mike, I know you're a busy guy, man, so I'm gonna dive right into this broadcast, man. But I want to take you back to the amazing year of 1995, where you actually landed
Uh,
a deal with Blunt TVT Records, man, and actually debuted the iconic EP, The Natural. I was wondering, how did that record deal originally come to be for you? And of course, for the newer generation that might not know very much about The Natural, could you break down that phenomenal record for us?
um, I mean, it really, bro, was crazy because um, I linked with Herb Gotti, shout out to Herb, and through a mutual friend, and everything kind of took off like a rocket ship from that point, you know. So one day it was him telling me, let's go in the studio, and you know, you should try this, and I think you'd be good at it. And the next thing I know, it was like a little bidding war over where I was going to make my home, and we sat down with Steve Gottlieb over at TVT, shout out to him, and it just seemed like the right place to go, and you know, the rest was history. So that's the long and short of it in terms of the album and putting it together. It was all just a real organic ride. You know, like I worked with people I vibed with, and we pretty much would just go in and create, and whatever happened, it did. And, you know, thank God it came out the way that it did.
And I gotta say as well, my favorite joint off that record will always be Three Stories High with the one and only Royal Flush, man. I think you guys had such phenomenal chemistry on that joint together.
Appreciate it. Yeah, working with Flush has always been easy because we just have this weirdo thing where we don't have to we don't have to talk to each other about what we're doing. We just go and we do, and we just feed off each other's energy. So it was always like that, you know. So it's just cool to have that as part of the body of the album, you know. And like I said, we went in, and a lot of that material was just spontaneity, you know, and it came out as it did. Shout out to Flush.
And also as well, a few years later, November 4th of 97, you actually released your second album titled Vendetta. I was wondering if you can actually tell us a bit more about this album, and of course, do you have any plans to actually re-release a 25th anniversary edition this year?
Wow, you know what? That's kind of a ill idea. I know for the anniversary for the Natural, what we did was we actually made like commemorative gear. So I mean, it's a good idea. I'll definitely take it into consideration. With me, it's funny because I don't really notice when these anniversaries are rolling around. I usually get hit to it after I see other people, you know, post something or whatever. But yeah, I guess it's that time. But in terms of the album, it was just trying to continue off from, you know, like where we left off in the Natural. But I think just trying to take a bigger jump, so to speak. So there were a lot of people that I wanted to work with during the course of the Natural, but we had done so much that we were like, all right, that'll flow over to the next album. So me and Diddy were talking even during the Natural about working together, and we made that happen with Vendetta. And then a lot of the people that I collaborated with on the Natural, they came back for Vendetta. So, you know, I ended up working with Hove again, and I ended up working with X and Rule again, and Flush, and, the usual suspects, no pun intended. And again, it was the same thing. Like, it's always, when I do go into a lab and when I do go and get into a project, I don't really try to steer where it's going unless I see that it's something that needs correction. I just pretty much try to let everything come out as it is, so same thing, but it was an honor, it was a privilege to work with everybody on it, and that's the long and short of it.
And I gotta say as well, I actually couldn't even believe that this record was actually 25 years old, man. Until once I booked you for this interview, I was going through my all my CDs, and I was like, I know I got this record. And then I flipped it over and looked at the back, and I was like 97. I was like, whoa, like time flies, man. But it's such a phenomenal record. It never gets old.
I took the words right out of my mouth, like time flies. So you making me acknowledge it, like it doesn't seem at all like it's been 20 plus years, but it has, but it's cool to be able to sit back now, and it's kind of like, it's kind of like having a vineyard and watching wine age, and it's like, a premium bottle that age, so I'm just grateful for that in that sense.
And before we move off the topic of this phenomenal record, the one thing I've always wanted to ask you, man, for all these years, that I've noticed as well, that there's actually two versions of Usual Suspects out there. One that features the one and only Hussein Fatal in place of Tragedy Gaddafi. I was wondering which one is actually the original, and of course, what actually made you guys decide to replace Hussein with Tragedy?
Well, I would say if you had to say the original, then I would probably say it would have to be the version with Fatal on it. Pretty much what happened at that time, there was a lot of tension still, because of losing Big and because of losing Pop. And there were a lot of emotions still in the air. And long story short, God was family to me, but, Fatal and Pop and them was also family to me. And we had the rock on the original version. So we pretty much were in a position where we were told that, things were kind of sensitive at that point, and everybody didn't agree with having, all those parties on one record. So I didn't want to not have anybody be a part of it that was a part of it. So we just ended up doing two versions where Fatal was on one version, and on the other version we had Cormega and we had Trap.
And also as well, in the early 90s, you actually had the opportunity to be featured on an episode of the iconic Yo MTV Raps alongside Ed Lover and, of course, Dr. Dre. I was wondering, could you tell our listeners a bit more about this prestigious opportunity? And, of course, what was it like just being on the set of that amazing show?
Oh, it was cool. It was real cool. Like, shout out to Ed and Dre. They was always good people. They always showed me love. So they asked me to come up, but to me it was like one of those personal milestones that you can say and you could feel as though, whatever you were chasing, you made, so to know that I was sitting there on that bench next to Dre, like, it was just a personal milestone for me. But I had a blast doing it, and, I'm glad, like I said, in my own personal scrapbook, I could look back and say that's something I did, but it was fun. It was fun.
And I gotta say as well, man, I really wish shows like that were still around. I do know that Video Music Box is actually making a comeback and whatnot, man, but I just loved the aspect of Yo MTV Raps, man. Staying up late till like midnight, you know what I mean? Trying not to get in trouble from your parents while you listen to some amazing hip-hop, man. I miss those days, man.
Yeah, it was cool because I think I get where you're coming from, but I think, you have such a gigantic media market now where, we didn't have the internet then, and we didn't have as many outlets to see and hear music as we do now. So I think because there was a lack of places to go to hear that music and to see the culture, it added that much more to being that much more prestigious in that sense. But now you have you can literally just log on and learn and see whatever you want. So I don't know that it would be the same type of thing now as it was then. But it'd be nice to have something for the generation now that they could gravitate to and that they knew to tune into, at a certain time in a certain place and see their culture. So I get where you're coming from completely.
And also, as well, you actually were really good friends with the late, great Tupac Shakur. I was wondering if you can actually tell our listeners a bit more about this amazing friendship. And, of course, how did you guys originally meet and get together?
It was just all spontaneous stuff. Like, the first time I met him, they used to do an event in Atlanta called Freaknik. And Freaknik, you would go to Atlanta for like 3 days, and it was kind of like a party/convention. So first time I met him, he was just standing in front of his hotel, smoking a blunt, and Gotti actually made me get out of the van and give him a CD and a sticker. I walked up to him, I gave it to him, and he was cool. He didn't, like shoo me away, or he didn't act, like he didn't want to be bothered. He just looked at the sticker, he looked at the CD, he was like, "You want to check it?" I said, "Cool." And then, as fate would have it, like a year or so, or maybe a couple of months later, we had a lot of mutual friends in Queens. And they was all plugged in together. So we ended up bumping heads again, and we were just cool. We just vibed out, and then from there, it just was what it was. So, again, it's something that you can look back in your personal scrapbook and just be thankful for, so shout out to Pop.
And I gotta say as well, back in those days, unfortunately, the media portrayed him always as this bad guy, but I've heard nothing but phenomenal stories about how much he loved his community, how much charity work he did, just how much of a hard worker this man was, man, I gotta say, I've heard nothing but good things, man, and definitely rest in peace to the late, great Tupac Shakur.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, I didn't get to see him all the time, and, all I can say is that when we did interact, it was always cool. So there's always going to be the perception that people have, and then there's always going to be, the main ingredients, the story of the book, So until anyone gets to really read the book, you can't pass judgment on him. At least that's what I'm going to, say. But to me, he was just very down to earth, very intelligent, and very spirited.
And also, as well, stepping aside from the music industry here for a moment, in the year 1999, you actually received a cameo in the movie White Boys. I was wondering if you could actually tell us a bit more about this movie role, and of course, how did this opportunity originally arise for you?
It was, it was crazy because I just remember coming to my label one day, and the president of my label asked me, "So what are your plans for the weekend?" And I don't know what I said. Probably nothing crazy. And he was like, "Okay, well, scrap that because you're going to." It was either Idaho or Nebraska or somewhere in Middle America where we were filming, and they were just like, "Yeah, you're going to do a movie." And I was like, "I'm going to do a what?" And they were like, "Yeah, you're going to be in a movie." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then the funny part is, in the scene where I go to the door, I was very tired that day. Like, I think before I went to shoot the Cameo, I either had just did a string of shows or I was running around doing something that had me really fatigued, and I know I just had to jump on the plane and get there. So when I got there, I fell asleep while I was on the set, and they didn't wake me up in the house. So they had like the lighting and the cameras and all of that. And the makeup girl like did my makeup while I was kind of like sleeping in the chair. And then when they rolled to shoot the scene, that's literally me being woke. Like that's me actually waking up from taking a nap. So when I went to the door and I said what I said, it was just my natural way of doing things because I was still waking up half tired. But the director, I guess he liked what I did, and he's like, "Yo, we have to keep that." And so that was that. But it was fun. Shout out to Danny Haas and everybody that was on the film. It was a cool experience.
And I have to ask as well, when you actually got told by your label when you walked in that day, pertaining to this movie, did they tell you what the movie was about? How it was going to be about some white boys that like thought they were like African American rappers?
Not at all. And if they did, then I didn't hear that. Like, I think I was just so stunned that they told me, one, what I was going to do, and two, what I was going to do, that everything else kind of like zoned out. So I just went with it and went and did it, and it was cool. You know, it was cool. Like, they just said, "You're going to do a movie," and I was like, "Okay, I guess I am." The rest was history.
And I gotta say, during those times, man, like, you know, you had a lot of those like hip hop movies, but you know what I mean, with the white boys. I think that was around the time like Eminem's Stan was like running around, and every white boy wanted to be a rapper and all that stuff. So they made a lot of these kind of spoof movies, man. And personally, some of them were actually kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool because I think that white boys over time has kind of grown into being like a little bit of a classic in its own sense, you know. And I get like people remind me about it all the time, and like, it's funny. I was watching cable one night and it came on, and my son saw. And they like started asking me a bunch of stuff about it, so. It's just cool to know that it has its own little place in time.
And also, as well, going into the 2000s, in the year 2002, your song, Wherever You Are, was actually sampled by Moby for his song, Jam for the Ladies. I was wondering if you can actually tell us a bit more about this sample. And of course, were you satisfied when you first heard Moby's sample of your track?
I was blown away, bro, because, like, I knew who Moby was, so it just shocked me that, you know, he chose something I did to make a song. And then when I heard what it was used for, I was like, yo, that's kind of crazy. So when I heard it, I was flattered. You know, I was flattered, and we actually got to speak, and I thanked him, and he's a very cool person, and, you know, there's not much more to it than that. Like, I was just honored that he would think to even use anything I did, and then let alone for it to end up in, like, you know, a Sex and the City movie is kind of crazy. So, you know, I loved it, and again, I'm glad I could be a part of it. You know, so shout out to Novi and thanks.
And also, as well, in the year 2007, you actually released a phenomenal record by the name of Alive 9/17/73. I was wondering if you can tell us a bit more about this phenomenal record, and of course, is it still available out there to be streamed or purchased today?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can download Alive on all digital platforms. So I know it's on like Apple Music and Spotify and Tidal and all that jazz, but it was like one of my first, it was like my second to third independent project. And again, same formula, whatever I was going through at the time, however I felt, whatever the music told me to write, that's what I did, you know. And it's kind of bugged out because I have a lot of people tell me they like, you know, like what makes you think, which was a very personal song to me. And I had a lot of people say that they loved Alive, which featured Tyrese and, you know, a lot of the content on there. So for me, it meant a lot because, as I said, it was an independent endeavor. But for it to be accepted, like, blew me away, you know. So even for you to say what you're saying now, like, I appreciate it from my end. So thank you. But yeah, it's out there. It's definitely out.
I gotta say as well, man, whenever I do slide in that CD in my car, man, I always go to the song My City. I believe that was featuring Blade Brown, if I'm not mistaken, man. Such a phenomenal joint.
Yeah, shout out to my brother. Yeah, my brother Blade. Shout out to him.
But also as well, jumping ahead in the timeline a little bit, right to last year, man, December 22nd, 21, you released a single titled The One that I'm actually going to be playing immediately following this interview right here on the FM dial. I was wondering, for the listeners that are
Oh,
tapping in live right now that might not have had the opportunity to hear this song, what can they expect from it when they hear it here live on the FM dial?
I would say the one I look at as being one of those songs where you don't necessarily follow the template, you don't follow the figurative rule book of what music, dictates that we do as artists. I was in Atlanta, I was working with my man DJ Tune and my man Black Mike, shout out to them. And my man Mike played the beat, and I just heard the reference to the Matrix thing. I went outside, smoked a cigarette, and I just wrote it outside, and I came back in. And it was funny because I had no idea that another Matrix movie was getting ready to be released. So it was just weird timing. And I just tried to make the idea of the Matrix applicable to my own life. So, like I said, I heard the beat, I wrote it, and we went in and did it. And it's just as I said, it's what happens when I decide, like, okay, I don't have to follow the norm. I can do whatever my heart tells me to do. So it's definitely a food for thought type of song, but I think with everything I do, I try to touch on those things that we all feel, that we all have that might not get mentioned the way that other things do. So, but it's lit, just like everything we try to do. It's lit, So it's one of the singles off the project that's coming 3016, and I'm having the time of my life recording though.
And also, as well, that was actually right next on my list about this brand new record. I actually read that it's coming out this winter. I was wondering if you can actually shed some light on this up and coming release. And of course, when about is it coming? Winter 2022. Do you have a defined date currently right now?
Well, as it is now, I think because of recent things that I've done, like recent collaborations and songs that I ended up recording, it's probably looking more so now like it'll come out later at the end of the year. We're actually getting ready to start letting out more music now and getting ready to film videos. So the project will definitely be out, but listen, I don't even want to. Man, listen, I'll need it. But the album is called 3016, and there ain't enough I can say. I don't even know where to start. I got a lot of surprises on there, and I have a good energy about and I think that that's translating into some phenomenal music. And the producers that I have on board thus far, like to work with DJ Tunk and to work with Mr. Lee, to work with Rhythm D, and getting ready to go and do stuff with Pete Rock and Young Guru is another one, and some of the collaborations I got, like, it's amazing. So I'm looking forward to it coming out and for the public to be able to hear it.
And I gotta say as well, just like the old saying goes, good things come to those who wait, man. And I think us fans are definitely gonna be really excited for this record when it does drop.
Yeah, I won't let y'all down. That's all I can say. I will not let y'all down, and I'm very excited, and I'm just amped to let the world hear it. So I definitely think it's the best work I've ever done in my entire life. So I'm happy. I'm very happy.
And also, as well, aside from 3016, man, what is next for yourself, Mike Geronimo? Is there anything we happen to miss during this broadcast this evening? Anything else you do still want to talk about or promote? Well, we still got you here live on the FM dial this evening.
No, I mean, really, bro, aside from that, I'm like everybody else in this world. I'm going with the flow. I have my hands into a couple of outside endeavors, and they're going okay. I've owned a small business now for going on 13 years, and I'm very grateful for that. There's other areas that I'm getting into now, regarding NFTs and things of that nature. There's other artists that, we're developing. I want to help them get their feet off the ground and get asserted into the industry and, see how those things pan out. But I'm having the time of my life, bro. When I'm not Mike Geronimo and just Mike and Dad and a husband, and I couldn't ask for anything more than that, bro.
And also, as well, this is the time of the interview quickly, Mike, that I give a chance for the individual that slides into the radio station airwaves, just a chance quickly to give, shout-outs to whomever they want to give shout-outs to, but most of all, your social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you and stay updated on everything you got going on. But we are a hip-hop radio station, so I hope these individuals already hit the follow button for yourself, Mike Geronimo.
Yeah, please do. So just a quick rundown. On Twitter, I think it's @Real Mike Geronimo. Same part of me on TikTok. My Instagram is Mike Geronimo. You can go there. There's the Facebook fan page. You can go there. There's the website, www.MikeGeronimoMusic.com. You can go there to find out the latest information on all I'm doing. There's merch there as well. That's about it. I'm easily accessible. I try to go on there and see what everybody's talking about every now and again. But if you want to get at me, that's the way to do it. Just real quick, shout out to my team, the General. Shout out to Shampoo, Team YMGS. You know what I mean? Shout out to my Q&B squad. Shout out to Ali, Image PR, my cousin Will B.O., my bro Bud, my brother, my sisters, my family, my friends, and most importantly, I gotta say thank you, and I appreciate it to no end to everybody that supported me over the years out there where you are. I can't thank y'all enough. I'm really eager to, one, give you this music, and two, travel the world and see y'all face to face. So, let's get ready. Get your gear on. Let's go.
And I gotta say, first and foremost, Mike, thank you so much as well, man, for years of phenomenal music, man. I gotta say, your music definitely helped me through a lot of difficult times in my life, man. So for that, I just want to say to you, thank you for just making music that sparks so many brains and helps people through so many things worldwide, man. So thank you so much, and we're definitely looking forward to more Mike Geronimo in the future as well.
I appreciate it, brother. I appreciate you for letting me even play a part in your scrap with it. You feel me? So that makes it all worthwhile. To hear somebody say that to you, that's worth its weight in gold. So thank you. From one G to another, I appreciate you saying that. Wow. That's crazy. Thank you.
Hey, I gotta say, you are most certainly welcome, Mike Geronimo. But for now, man, definitely have yourself a wonderful night, man, and definitely stay safe out there, man. Hopefully down the line we can make this happen again sometime soon.
Yeah, once all the smoke clears, I'll come out there, we'll link up, bro. Until then, hold it down. Like I said, I hope y'all get through all the things y'all going through out there. Talk to them truckers, bro.
Hey, man, we're Canadian. I'm pretty sure we can get through this. But I did hear out here in Ontario the mandates are going to be lifted at the end of March. So I think they're trying to just give the truckers what they want without actually telling them you're getting what they want. You know what I mean? So I don't think they want to admit it, but they're definitely scared. And I don't blame them, because I would be too. That's a lot of truckers.
Yo, all is well that ends well. So if everybody can walk away and be cool, then that's what's up. You feel me? And just play some Mike Geronimo when you're walking away.
Hey, man, I gotta say, that definitely sounds like a plan, Mike. Again, thank you so much for your time, man. And definitely have yourself a wonderful night, man. I'm pretty sure down the line we'll talk again, man. But thank you so much.
We will. And thanks for having me. I appreciate y'all, bro.
I appreciate you as well, Mike. Thank you so much, man.
One.